Bienvenue à Les Affaires Brassicoles, votre balado sur l'entrepreneuriat brassicole du Québec, avec Leonardo Calcagno de Baron Mag.
Bonjour tout le monde, ici Leonardo Calcagno des Affaires Brassicoles. J'espère que vous allez bien et que vous sortez boire, manger, tout ce qui se passe dans le milieu du Québec. Bien sûr, merci beaucoup à tout le monde de s'abonner à les Affaires Brassicoles, d'aller venir nous voir au festival. Puis bien sûr, on vous donne plein de revues, plein comme ça, on discute, bien content. Je suis content pouvoir discuter avec nos lecteurs, puis le monde de l'industrie en personne. C'est tout le temps du bien en été. C'est pour ça l'été est fait pour sortir, puis s'amuser. Comme vous savez, Baron Mag, on est partenaire cette année avec Canada Coupe. Puis, bien sûr, on fait des entrevues avec des juges parce qu'on veut comprendre le mystère de ça, comment juger les bières. Beaucoup des entrevues vont être en anglais parce que beaucoup des juges sont de la province. Si on peut les faire en français, on les fait en français. Si vous avez des questions, envoyez-nous un courrier à leonardo@baronmag.com ou bien sûr à Canada Cup. Ce podcast est commandité par INNOMALT. INNOMALT, c'est une compagnie qui font du malt québécois pour le monde ici et d'ailleurs, bien sûr, du malt de qualité. Si vous avez des questions, info@innomalt.ca. Puis, bien sûr, on va laisser toute l'information là-dessus. Aujourd'hui, on parle avec Sandy Hugill. Je pense que j'ai mal nommé son nom. C'est une madame qui, ça fait plus de 20 ans qu'elle parle de bière. Elle est consultante, elle fait plein de choses là-dedans. Puis, c'est une juge de cette année pour le Canada Cup. On va parler avec elle, bien sûr, l'entrevue est en anglais. Puis, je pense que j'ai masqué son nom déjà. Puis, bien sûr, on va parler un petit peu de c'est quoi son expérience, bien sûr, mais aussi comprendre un peu comment on juge une bière. Hey, Sandy, how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I think I just threw your name again. Sorry. You're
It's all right.
so how's everything? Where are you right now?
I am in an office in Columbus, Ohio, USA.
Nice. How's everything in the U.S.? How's the scene up there?
We have a great craft beer scene in the U.S. and in the state of Ohio in particular. If you're not from the area, you might not realize we have more than 400 craft breweries in our state.
Pretty amazing.
So quite a few. So it's a great place to be if you like good beer.
Sorry, just to make sure, Toledo's in Ohio, no?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yep.
So I've been there. I've been to Toledo. Okay,
You've been to Toledo, yeah, and I'm in Columbus. So Columbus is the capital city of Ohio.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I've been there before. Before doing all this beer trade publication, I used to have a punk magazine, and we used to have a magazine that used to called Lamb, and it's a hardcore stuff like that. And Toledo was one of our distributors' place, so we used to go to Toledo. One of our good friends there they have a record label there. That's why.
All right.
So this is back to beer. So can you tell us a little about you, Sandy? Can you give us like a little bit of pedigree to understand where you come from? What kind of your experience?
Sure. Yeah. So I've always been a lover of beer. My father was a home brewer, and as craft beer was getting bigger, I started paying a little bit more attention to it. I used to live in Washington, D.C., and there are some great breweries there as well. When I moved back to Ohio, my home state, I was re-exploring my state and my city after being gone for 17 years. So I started traveling around to all the cities, exploring the breweries, and decided after I started blogging about my experiences, why am I not doing something professionally in the field? I worked as a management consultant, project manager for IT projects, and very good jobs, but not fun. I wanted to do something that was more aligned with my hobbies, which were becoming travel and beer and geeking out, as you might say, about different styles of beer. So I decided to pursue my Cicerone certification. I started homebrewing a little bit, joined a homebrew club, and started judging beer. So I started out judging homebrew beer, and now I'm also judging beer from professional commercial breweries.
So how many beers do you judge in a year?
I am since I'm probably judging how many competitions, maybe 6 to 10 competitions a year. Most of those are homebrew competitions, so it's just something local or a competition that my own homebrew club in Ohio puts on. If you're judging a full day of judging for homebrew, you're probably maybe 10 to 15 beers. Now, for the professional competitions, such as the Canada Beer Cup, it's a much more fast-paced competition with higher caliber judges in some cases, although we have great judges judging homebrew as well. But judging a lot more than 15 in a day there. It could be, I'm trying to think back to multiple flights. Yeah, could be closer to 40 beers in a day, 40, 50, depending on how late your day goes.
Okay, for sure you're not drinking all the beer, you're just tasting the beer. So
Exactly. Exactly. If you're a smart judge, you can't drink all of them. And it's a very small samples that are served. So you're not getting a full pint of beer, just a little bit.
Okay. Tell me, the reason we wanted to do the interview, the article, stuff like that, is because I want to know the mystery behind this. How do you judge beer when you get 40 beers a day?
Yeah.
Do you get like do you have your own specific? I was talking to a guy from Finland who was telling me I take care of mostly of the weird one because that's what I like, and I like lagers. That's what he wants. And the other brewers, the other judges I talk to, they're different. No? So how do you judge your beer? How does it work when somebody asks you to be a judge of beer? And how do you pass 40 beers and make sure that your taste bud doesn't go weird? Some beers are higher, because of alcohol, stuff like that. How does it work?
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, you're going to be judging beers in a flight. Maybe that you get 6 at a time, and they're the same style or a similar style of beer. So you're kind of calibrating yourself to that particular category of beer at that time. And of course, judges are usually very well trained. We have standards for beer. We understand what the appearance of the beer should be. What color, what does it look like? What are the aromas we're expecting from this type of beer, the flavors, all of those things. Is it a highly carbonated beer? So we've got all that training and experience, and it's in our head. There are also apps on the phone that you can consult to look at the standards. Your competition might say, we're using these standards. The Beer Judge Certification Program, or BJCP, is a big one. The Brewers Association in the US also has their own set of standards. There are a lot of similarities. So we've got those standards either in our head or on our phone. And as we go down the line tasting the beer, we're looking for all of those correct things. Does it look like it should? If it's a blonde ale, does it look like a blonde ale? Maybe it's too dark? So you're comparing it against a standard. And then you're kind of comparing against the other beers in the same flight. If I have 5 blonde ales, I can kind of look at them all together and see where they fit together. We look for the presence of the right attributes. We also look for the absence of the negative attributes. There are off flavors in beer. For example, certain types of beers, you mentioned lagers, are prone to having certain types of off flavors that we don't like, that could come about by issues in the brewing process or packaging. Lagers in particular are prone to an off flavor called diacetyl, which kind of tastes like butter or buttered popcorn.
Okay.
And that can be an issue if you're not lagering appropriately. So lagers need to be raised to a certain temperature in order to release those unnecessary aroma compounds before they can be cooled to the lagering or cooler temperatures that they will stay at for a while throughout the process. So so we're looking for what should be there and what should not be there as well.
How do you keep your palate without the pad after 40 beers? How do you keep it, to make it sure that they mix, like you mix, like when you drink beer, like, you go, like I was saying in the beginning, it goes different ways, your palate. Sometimes your palate tastes at the back. Yeah, I know you drink water. I know that.
Definitely drink water. Maybe have some palate cleanser, like a cracker or a pretzel in between beers. You're only going to judge a flight of a certain number of beers before you take a break, and get your mind off of it. Maybe also have a snack, something like that. But also, in every competition, a judge is not working solo. We're working with another judge, so there's usually a pair. Some competitions will have 3 judges judging the same beer flight at the same time. So you'll go through and write your own notes, but then you'll discuss with your fellow judge, because sometimes they pick up on certain things that you don't. And so it helps sometimes to talk through that. Also creates validation if you say, hey, I got that diacetyl flavor that we don't want in this lager, and they say, yes, I perceive that too. So it's validation there.
How do you get to your? I mean, how many beers are you drinking in a week to make sure that you okay? You're kind of like a sport athlete. You need to drink beer, different beers, stuff like that, to make sure that like that. So how do you keep yourself? You know, make sure that you see all this little fusion, little weird stuff going on. How does it work?
So just everyday life.
Can you enjoy a beer?
Oh, of course. I don't think I drink more than the average person. In fact, sometimes I drink less than the average person because when I'm not judging beer, I just want to sit and have something refreshing that I enjoy and not think about it. And it's difficult when you're out with friends at a bar, at a tap room, and they want to know, well, what do you think about this beer, Sandy? And I'm thinking, I just
I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it happens when you go to a brewery. People know you. It must be weird for them to enjoy a beer. It's like I found you work in construction. Every time I go to a room, I'm always checking the corners, everything I do.
Right. You know? Well, I'm thinking about the beer as I'm drinking it, especially if it's my first time to a brewery and I want to sample their beers. But I don't always put my judging hat on. Sometimes I just try to enjoy. Now, if there's something amazing about the beer, I'm happy to tell people, hey, this is great. Or if there's something not so good, I will quietly tell my friends, I don't think this beer is quite right. I think it's a little off, but I'm not in the business of giving negative feedback to the staff at the restaurant or the brewery. I don't want to do that. Now, if they ask me, I don't want to lie either.
Okay. So how important is for you think people like you working in the industry? Because as you know, the industry right now, people are not drinking as much beer. People are still drinking, but not as much beer because it's expensive like that. How does it work for you guys? How important is your job as a judge, or not even a judge, like as a consultant for breweries, to make sure that they have the perfect beer for the perfect client, to make sure they don't have all this, the faults, stuff like that. How important is your job?
Well, so I do a little bit of beer tastings as a freelance person, but my last few years I've had jobs in specific breweries. In fact, where I work now is Hoster Brewing Company in Columbus, Ohio. We are a brewery that dates back to pre-prohibition times.
Nice.
Prohibition kind of killed the Hoster brand. It was revived once in the late 1990s, early 2000s, closed again, and we reopened again last year. I've only been on board for a few weeks, but I've been part of the story since before they reopened. I know the folks behind the brand. I've been a regular customer. So yeah, so I'm working. So I guess I'm going in a roundabout way. I'm talking about most of what I do for business is for a specific employer. So yeah, I want to taste the beers. I want to give any feedback to the brewer. I'm looking into perhaps help working with our brewers to formalize a sensory program for quality control, because that is important. We do have to have good beer. As you mentioned, the industry is changing. Fewer people are drinking craft beer. They're moving on to other beverages or non-alcoholic beverages. So the quality of the product is very important if you want to stay in business.
Yeah, 100%. I forgot to ask you my question. How do you train yourself to train for beer judging?
Yeah. So when I decided to make my career change a few years back, I took all of these self-paced courses that the Cicerone certification program offered, and they're all online courses, but they give you example exercises that you should do. And I went out and I bought all of these different styles of beer to compare and do the comparison exercises. You know, maybe it's a dark beer sampling I'm going to do today. And so I want to compare Irish stout with maybe an oatmeal stout and a dark lager like a German Schwarzbier, and compare and contrast them. So there were lots of exercises like that, and I did them all. I went and bought all the beer. I had a great relationship with the bottle shop that was willing to help me find all these beers I needed to do all these exercises. And I tasted them all as if I was judging. Like I said, I compare and contrast, take notes. So I did all of that a few years ago. You need to keep your palate sharp though. So when new beers come out that are of a certain beer style, let's say, I really do like saisons, and I'm always looking for different ones and thinking about them and tasting them and talking to friends about them. So I'm always exploring.
Okay, do you have like a small log beside your bed and write down when you start to do something like that?
Not really. I guess a lot of it's just in my head.
Okay.
Now, I do use Untapped, the beer app. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And in fact, I recently worked for them for a short time. But I will rate my beers in Untapped, and I don't usually take notes, but I know my own rating system, so I can recall how well I liked it based on how well I rated it. Everyone's system is different. I only know myself.
So can you tell us your rating system? What is it?
Yeah, well, it's basically it's from 0 to 5 points, and you can do quarter points, or if you pay for the insider, subscription to Untapped, you can do tenths of points. And I just know based on what I've done in the past where a beer falls. But some people probably take really detailed notes, and I do not outside of. Now, when I'm judging, of course I do. And the more you judge competitions, that keeps your palate, tuned as well.
Sandy, how's the Ohio scene right now, the industry scene? Are there having difficulties like here? There's like codes or stuff like that. I haven't followed. How is it going right now?
Yeah, I would say up until like around the COVID time, and maybe even a year or so after the pandemic started, lots of places were still opening. The pandemic slowed down a few places that would have opened sooner, but it wasn't too long before, I think, after that we reached a kind of a tipping point where 10 places started closing or not opening. So now I think more craft breweries are closing than opening, unfortunately. But there are still new ones opening.
It's a correction. It happens.
Yeah, the ones that are staying open are often having to reinvent themselves.
Okay.
A lot of them have shifted into doing canned cocktails or other beverages.
I was going to ask about seltzers and cocktails.
Yeah, seltzers and cocktails, and sometimes it's now not, you can't just have good beverages, you have to have a whole experience for people. So a lot of breweries differentiate themselves on, they have leagues for, I don't know, skee ball. Do you know the skee ball game? Yeah, or whatever, something different though, an activity for people, and that gets people in the door. And yeah, so you can't just have good beer now. That's necessary, but it's not the only thing.
Okay, it happens everywhere. Everywhere I travel across Canada or US,
right?
Pretty much what's happening. Well, Sandy, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully, we see you in Quebec. I don't know if you're going to be coming to the province for the to give away cups, stuff like that. We have no idea.
I have actually been to Quebec only one time, and very briefly, I ran the Ottawa Marathon.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're familiar. The course runs across the bridge over into Quebec. I can't think of the city that's right across.
It's All. There's Ottawa and Hull, I think it's called.
Yeah.
There's Gatineau. There's Ottawa.
Gatineau. It was Gatineau. So we run into Gatineau just for a few kilometers. That's it, and then back into into Ontario. So I really need to come. I need to visit Montreal. I need to visit Quebec City. So
great brewers, man. Great brewers to judge.
Yeah.
100%.
In the future there.
Excellent. Well, Sandy, thank you much for your time. We'll, of course, get back to you to see if your beer won, if the beer you voted for did win. I'd like to know what's happening with that. And also, if you have, like I said, thank you again for your time for the Canada Cup. I know it's going to be good. It's a great competition, and hopefully see you in Quebec City.
Okay. Now, are you coming out to the judging in Calgary?
I don't know yet. I will see. I'll see with the wife if I can go.
Okay.
I travel a lot, man. She's like, nah, you need to relax. Like, I'll try. Because
Okay.
I travel a lot by car. So Montreal to Calgary is very far, but I'm always up to. I went to Texas by car once. So
that's a long trip.
Montreal, Texas, yeah, see a band. So yeah, sometimes I do crazy stuff like that. Well,
Okay.
Thank you again, Sandy, for your time, and of course,
Sure.
thank you again for your time to judge your beer.
Okay. All right. Have a great day. Okay.
Merci beaucoup à tout le monde d'avoir écouté les Affaires Brassicoles. Si vous avez des questions pour nous autres, bien sûr, envoyez un courriel à leonardo@baronmac.com. Puis bien sûr, ce podcast est commandité par INNOMALT. Si vous voulez du malt québécois fait ici au Québec, de qualité, contactez INNOMALT à info@innomalt.ca. Mon nom c'est Leonardo Calcagno des Affaires Brassicoles. Merci beaucoup et à la prochaine.